Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. It's always a joy to remind you of that wonderful presence at the very center of your being. You have within you this incredible energy, this conscious, eternal energy that gives guidance to everything in life. Just want to give you my encouragement every day to go within, come to know the presence, and allow it to illumine your daily living. A couple of things just to mention. First of all, we welcome you to our class tonight, Return to Love, from 7 to 8:30. And also just a reminder, tomorrow morning we will not have class from 10 to 11:30. The program with Joseph Venner will be canceled until the following week. Let's begin. And perhaps even before we do so, let me just suggest today's teaching is extraordinarily interesting. My dear friends, it is quite obvious that so many of you are advancing in your spiritual practices and thus in the quality of your daily living. It is such a joy for me personally to witness your growth as you bring that heavenly presence into our earthly world. A basis for your progress has been a way of understanding yourself better and better. One of the spiritual principles that we teach in Now Creations is the following. The more you know how you are constituted, the more you know the parts of you that make you up, the easier and happier life becomes, until it becomes that consistent joy that so many of you are presently experiencing. It is precisely this principle of knowing your parts that I will focus on in today's teaching. This part of you that I'm going to focus on is your soul. The goal of today's teaching is to help you to know your soul's world. I will begin by explaining the domain of the soul and then conclude with 4 specific credentials of spiritual application to the soul. Today's teaching is entitled The Soul World. I encourage copious note-taking. Let's begin by defining clearly the domain of the soul, what the soul does, and how it operates practically in our lives. First, let's be clear. When talking about the domain of the soul, we're not talking about your body. We're not talking about your mind. We are not talking about your emotions. And we are not talking about the spiritual realm that you experience in meditation and other spiritual practices. So then, what are we talking about? What are we talking about when we talk about the soul? When we talk about the soul, we are talking about that inner you, the inner you. Again, not the inner you of your personality self, which consists mostly of your mind and emotions, but rather the inner you of that spiritual energy at your very heart center. The best way to describe the soul, this inner you, at least at the beginning, is the understanding that the soul is the decision maker of your life. It is the soul that listens to your spiritual self and then decides what it will tell the personality self to do. Let me mention that again. It is the soul within you that seeks guidance from the spirit and then tells your personality self what it should be doing. Now we are getting to the heart of the matter, namely, what is the specific domain of the soul? What does the soul bring to the spirit or guidance, and then instructs the personality self to execute. Let me be clear, and let me give credit to Rudolf Steiner as the basic teacher for the domain of the soul. Please now concentrate, be attentive. Steiner says that the soul is your desire being. I'll say it again. Your soul is your desire being. Your soul is the reservoir of all of your desires, all of your wishes, goals, and passions in life. Your soul is where all of your desires are housed. Your soul is that particular place within you that even your purpose in life is contained. Yes, your soul has received your goals in life from your spirit, and your spirit continues to guide your soul in its accomplishments, but it is in your soul. It is in your desire being that your goals are housed. Now just think about this for a minute. When you get up each morning, is it not true that, well, you start looking for things to do, and those things you do are coming from the desires of your soul? It is true that you are always ready to accomplish something. You're always ready to do something because a desire within your soul said, well, this is what we're going to do. At one time, your to-do list was much more a third-dimensionally oriented list. But even here, it was your soul that was telling your personality what it was to accomplish in the course of the day. Now, you are much more inclined to accomplish more spiritual considerations, but it is still your soul telling your personality self what your desires are and what needs to be accomplished. You might want to use this analogy. Your soul is the worker bee of life. The worker relies on the queen bee for guidance, the queen bee being that Holy Spirit presence. But it is the worker bee, it is your soul that gathers the nectar of the plant and brings it back to the hive. It accomplishes your desires. Your soul, not your personality self, is the worker bee that gathers the sweetness of life and bringing heaven to earth by extending your desires into your practical living. Now again, just take a moment to think about this. Is it every day a new day for you? Are you not always ready to do something? You want to accomplish something? Well, where are those desires? Where are those goals you want to accomplish? They are in your soul. It is your soul that holds your desires, your goals, your ambitions. It is your soul that is the desire being. It is your soul that is the desire being that does the work of creation. Again, understand that it is your spirit that has instilled the directions and gives guidance to your soul. And it is your personality self that's going to execute the decisions. But it is the soul. It is the soul that is in you that urges you forward and holds the desires of your life. Do you understand this? Your soul is what moves you to do something, to do this rather than that. Your soul is your desire being. This is its domain. With this clear understanding in mind, we're now ready to consider the 4 credentials of the soul, especially the credentials of the soul for those of us who are on a spiritual path. The first credential of the soul is its foundational component. The foundational component of the soul is freedom. This freedom is easily seen in 2 different but very compelling scenarios. First, a 3rd-dimensional scenario. When a person has a big decision to make, it is the soul that asks, should I do this or should I do that? You clearly notice that the 3rd-dimensional mind is not the chooser, it's not the questioner. In fact, it's the 3rd-dimensional mind itself that is confused, not knowing what it should do. Thus, it becomes quite apparent in even 3rd-dimensional situations that it is the soul that is going to make up, may I even say, make up its mind, its soul mind, that becomes the chooser. This is quite important to understand. Secondly, the same notion of freedom is important for the soul in the following scenario. Before a new human life begins, listen closely. Before a new baby is born, the soul must be in harmony with the Spirit's direction for it. It is the soul that must say yes to the Spirit's guidance, both at the beginning and throughout a person's life. The soul is not a robot. It is the soul that is free and must be willing to follow the guidance of one's spirit. This notion of freedom is also clearly seen when we consider that the soul is not confined by past actions. While the personality self tries to free itself from the past, when the soul enters the picture, it gives much greater confidence to that weaker personality self to free itself from its old habits. It shows up in these simple words that the soul often simply addresses to the personality self. Come on, you can do it. How many times have you said that to yourself? Come on, you can do it. It's your soul addressing your personality self. Who's giving the additional confidence? It is your soul who is giving the confidence. Who's receiving it? That personality self. Very grateful that it has the soul to guide it. This notion of the soul's freedom is pretty handy to know, because you are never confined to the past. Thus, we can always be ready for a much brighter future. How many times we have used this freedom in our notion of spiritual growth, freeing ourselves from the past and moving ourselves into that much better world of the future. the second credential. The second credential is best answered in a sense with a question. The question is, so what does the soul do? What does the soul do with its urges and wishes and passions? What do you do with these things? The simple answer is that, well, the soul responds to them. They are the drivers of your soul. Or better stated, the soul creates from them. These are the principles. These are the principles that we have in our lives that enable us to create our reality, because these drivers of the soul are giving direction for us to do so. Well, this seems like the obvious first answer before we create. The soul has a very important function, however, especially for those of us who are on a spiritual path. Again, please listen closely. You see, the soul, our souls, have been in the human condition enough times to know that not every urge or wish is necessarily a good energy to create. The soul, our souls, have been around long enough to know that before we create our reality, we must discern. We must choose where our urges are coming from. Our souls know that many urges can come from the body, such as food, sex, and entertainment. And many urges can come from our thoughts and emotions, that they are not always the wisest to follow. So before being the creator of our reality, the soul must first become the wise chooser. The second credential of the soul, being a wise chooser. The soul must discern the right pathway forward. Before being the creator, the soul must become the chooser. What urges will it choose to follow? What urges should be disregarded? That's where the soul, with its experience, comes into play. We can simply say, will the soul choose to follow its egoic, self-centered, physical, materialistic urges, or will it first choose to follow the spiritual wisdom of the Holy Spirit? Hasn't this been the issue for us not only in this incarnation, but in all previous ones as well? Fortunately, for us now, who want to choose the Spirit's way, a very nice life awaits in these two beautiful ways that our souls are being guided. Again, listen carefully. Take some notes. Before we create, and now I am indicating the best case scenario of the soul to do so, we must recognize that we have these two beautiful qualities. The first one is to acknowledge within yourself the things that you are best suited for. Let me repeat it. The first thing to understand is to acknowledge within yourself the qualities that you are best suited for, the things you want to achieve. I like to call these qualities your proclivities in life, the things that you most want to do and feel that you have your best abilities to achieve them. Now, right at this time, it is important to realize that your proclivities, your special talents, Your proclivities, your special talents have been programmed into your soul by the joint agreement of your soul and spirit before you incarnated into your present life. Yes, I'm going to repeat that again. Your proclivities, the things you most want to do. Well, the reason you want to do them is because they've been programmed into your life prior to being born by the agreement of your soul spirit. One more time. Why do you like doing the things you like to do? They have been programmed into you by your soul spirit, so that you feel comfortable to know what you're doing and how to accomplish your achievements. This statement is so important to understand, that you have been perfectly programmed to achieve your goals in life by your own soul and by your spirit guides. Let's be clear. Your personality self is also free. Your personality self is free to disregard this inner guidance and resort to old egoic patterns. But that's not the case for you anymore, because you know how you're put together. Because you now know that our soul world is operating within us through the guidance of the Spirit, we joyfully follow what we are most inclined to do. Isn't this the joy of life? To follow what you most want to do. This is now where the second factor comes in. Not only are you desirous of following your best talents and qualities, but now you are ready to use them. Now you are ready to use them in service of the Holy Spirit. You're ready to use them in service to the God Spirit. Do you understand that? That the things you're most inclined to do, you're now ready to use them not simply for self-centeredness, but in service to the God Spirit. Your soul, programmed by itself and your spirit, is now living in service to the divine itself. You are now entering the plan of God for yourself. Do you understand this? That you're participating actively in the plan of God for yourself. As you know it, you are doing it. And because you are knowing it better and better, are you not doing it better and better, using your wonderful talents in the service of the God Spirit, bringing heaven to earth, consciousness to the planet in your way? Now that you have chosen wisely, you can then begin to utilize the third credential of the soul, your ability to truly become the creator of your reality. Now that you know what your reality is. See, most people are still confused. They don't know what they really should be doing. They're confused because of self-centeredness and materialism. You used to be like that. You used to be like that, but not anymore. You recognize now that such urges of the past were not who you were. And more, you are now creating from the spiritual guidance of your soul spirit. You are now clearly realizing the direction given to you from A Course in Miracles. Child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. And you're doing just that. You're creating the good, the beautiful, and the holy from the talents within you with which you've been gifted. It's what you most want to do. Kindness Month was simply but 1 month out of a whole year of creating from oneness and love. You fully understand that your soul is a conscious extension of the God energy, and that your greatest urge, your fondest desire, and dare I say, that your highest passion is now to be the love of God in human form. Greatest desire, highest passion, fondest urge, is it not to be the love of God in human form? Isn't that it? And you're remembering quite well. Right after the Course says, child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. The very next words are, and do not forget this. You have stopped forgetting. You are remembering from the domain of your soul. Well, at this time, you might be asking yourself, what's left for the soul to do? I understand its first 3 credentials of freedom. That was very, very important. Of being the chooser, I got it. Being the creator, I know, I'm going to do that. Yet there's still one very important function of the soul, and that is understanding your soul as the evaluator of your life. This function of evaluation has a twofold direction, with the second direction being a little more important. The first function of your soul as evaluator is, as you might surmise, the soul should rightly evaluate the past, not only the past of your present life, but also the past of your previous incarnation. And as it does so, you can rightly see how much your soul has grown, how much you can truly, practically leave behind that doesn't fit, ready now to go forward with what does fit. You're able to clearly see that those certain urges of the past don't quite seem to have the same grip on you. And now you're able to go much more confidently into the future. You now know that your soul truly desires what I'll say is now the second aspect of your soul as evaluator. You now realize the incredible possibilities that await your soul's development. Getting rid of the stuff of the past, one step, but moving into the development of your future possibilities. This is where the action is now. You are excited, certainly, to remove the old limitations and temptations that plagued you in the past. You now have initiated spiritual practices, and you join with other people regularly in our study groups to progress. You now have a renewed appreciation of your soul's talents, and you no longer are hiding them, but rather you're using your talents in the service of spirit, which were the ways they were designed in the first place by your soul spirit. You're becoming much more loving, kinder, wiser, because you're beginning to freely choose the course of your soul, understanding that you will teach only love. You will be it, and you will teach it. Your soul is beginning to be the Christed self that Jesus knew and lived. And now, I think, you desire, with all of the urgings and desires of your heart, you want to be that Christed being. You want to become pure in heart. And you want to experience yourself as the Christed love of God. Because this now is the main desire of your soul. Is it not? In conclusion, I know that you've enjoyed this presentation on your identity as a soul. You now know the soul world as desire being. Desire being. It has all of your urges, wishes, goals. And you understand those 4 credentials of the soul: freedom, choosing, creating, and evaluating. Please understand that the more you know how you're constituted, the easier and better life becomes. You have to know how you're put together. As we do so, we know that each one of us will be that shining soul, brightly illuminating the world. And our goal, of course, is to help each other, to be a spiritual community of bright new souls, to uplift our world in ways that we know we can and will. Let me now bring you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Just nice, easy breathing. Perhaps today's teaching is the first time you've come to be able to understand your soul. Not your mind, not your emotions, not even your spirit, your soul. Where did all of those propensities within you come from? Where did all of those things you've always wanted to do come from? We just presume they were always there. And how many times have you said to yourself, well, I have always wanted to And are you not surprised that you have always had the talents within you to have success in your achievements? How did that happen? How did that happen? That your successes in life have come from seemingly inborn talents. How did that happen? Before projecting your present personality self, your soul is a busy bee. It not only reviewed your past immediate incarnation, but also was preparing with spirit for you. Listen closely. You are perfectly programmed to achieve what you really wish for in life. You're perfectly programmed to achieve what you really wish for in life. But you can't get lost in old self-centered materialistic habits. You can't stay lost. So right now, just right now, in your spiritual path, what is it that you most want to achieve? What is it that you're ready for now? And understand that you're perfectly programmed to achieve it. Your soul has not hung you out to dry. It's been waiting for you to step up. Don't get lost in what you think your mind knows what to do. Follow your soul, which knows what is true for you at this stage in your development. Have the courage to follow your soul. I mean, it's really exciting. It's really exciting to see your future. Just really exciting to see this incredible future that is opening up as you open up from within your soul. If you think you're done with living because your mind says so, would you please consult your soul? Would you please consult your soul and get with it? At this moment in your life, you have everything you need, all of your talents and qualities to direct your life forward if you will but listen to the soul that is guiding you. Listen to your soul. Not your mind, your soul. It knows the program. You might want to re-listen to today's teaching so that you understand very clearly what the domain of your soul is. In future weeks, we will focus on the domain of the spirit. So in that energy and that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful soul spirit energy, let me invite you back to your breath. And notice that little hop and skip in your breath, just that inner peace, that inner satisfaction, knowing that you're going to listen, not so much to your mind, but from your soul spirit. And in the energy of that breath, just nice, easy breathing, let me invite you to gently, with a great sense of happiness, breathe your eyes open. I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.